You're listening to the Coconut Avenue Radio and Podcast Network.
Welcome to Out There on the Edge of Everything, the show that examines, helps you understand, and effectively deal with the interesting edges of life. Broadcasting now from the virtual C344 studios overlooking the edge of Coconut Avenue is your host, award-winning and best-selling author, Dr. Stephen Lesovich.
Hi, this is Dr. Stephen Lesovich out there on the edge of everything. This episode is entitled Address Adversity with the Modified STAR Technique. Have you ever helped someone with the best intentions and have the situation turn out as a big disaster? Did your helpful acts have long-lasting negative effects? Did your actions enable another person not to accept responsibility for their own actions? Let me tell you another true story. This is a funny one. When I was in grade school, my dad bought a brand new Ford Country Squire station wagon. The body color of the car was white. The car included a red vinyl-like interior, including the dashboard's seats and interior door panels, and had red carpets. This is one of those big boat kind of cars from the 1960s. My dad always took care of his cars, especially his new cars. Every weekend he would vacuum the interior and wash and wax his car. I was always outside watching him. One Saturday, my brother and I went out to visit my aunt and uncle who ran a small beef and pork farm. After taking a look at the animals and spending some time playing with my cousins in the barns, I decided to show my cousins our new car. At that point, we decided to all help out my dad by washing and waxing our new car. We got a couple of buckets and rags and washed the exterior of the car. Then we decided to wax the car. My uncle had several cans of wax in the barn. I previously did a blog post and podcast about removing layers of wax from floors. You can check out that blog post and podcast on my website at slesovich.com. Meanwhile, back on the farm, as my cousins applied a coat of wax to the exterior of the car, my brother and I had the idea to wax the interior of the car. I agreed with him it would be a good idea to wax the interior of the car. It sounded like a good idea at the time. That's right, we decided to wax the interior of the car. The vinyl seats, the side panels, the dashboard, the radio, the steering wheel, the interior of the roof, the heating vents, all the knobs and levers, etc. Every square inch of the interior of the car. We used a whole can of wax. When my dad came outside and saw what my brother and I did, he went over the edge. When my dad asked whose idea it was to wax the inside of the car, my brother immediately said it was my idea. In spite of my protests, let me say I received a number of hard smacks on my backside, which was something that commonly happened to children in those days who did something they were not supposed to do. My brother did not accept responsibility for his own actions. My dad had enabled my brother's behavior. My brother and I spent the next several hours with rags trying to remove the wax from the interior of the car. We never did get all the wax off. The whole time my dad owned that car in the 1960s, the interior smelled like car wax. We never needed an air freshener. The wax made the vinyl seats and everything else inside the car very slippery. For months, every time my mom got in the car, she would literally slide off the front seat and hit her knees on the glove compartment and get very irritated. My brother and I would get yelled at again from my dad for waxing the interior of his brand new car. So how do you help someone facing adversity or a challenging situation, starting with the best intentions, like my brother and I did for waxing the interior of the car, so it does not become a big disaster, does not have long-lasting negative effects, or allow someone to avoid taking responsibility for their own actions? Consider these three things. Number one, use the STAR technique to analyze and provide insights for the challenging situation. The STAR, S-T-A-R, technique is a technique used during job interviews and is a behavioral-based technique used to gather information about a challenging situation a job interview candidate may have faced in the workplace. The STAR technique is used outside job interviews as a framework to analyze and overcome life challenges. The original STAR technique, STAR, S-T-A-R, is an acronym for Situation, S, Task, T, Action, A, and Result, R. Have the person you are assisting describe the challenging situation they are facing. List all tasks they need to complete as a result of the challenging situation. Define what actions they need to take to complete their list of tasks and what results they expect based on their actions. I am going to modify the STAR technique slightly to make the letter T stand for truth instead of tasks. So using the modified STAR technique, you determine the truth of the challenging situation you are facing. The determined truth is based on the facts of the challenging situation and your own personal beliefs surrounding those facts. The modified STAR technique therefore becomes Situation S, Truth T, Action A, R, Result. Number 2. Assist the person to see and feel the consequences of their own STAR. Overcoming a challenging situation with a modified STAR technique requires having the person you are assisting take responsibility for their own actions. Taking responsibility means that person cannot blame others, cannot be the victim, cannot make excuses for not taking any actions or taking any actions based on negative emotions such as fear, guilt, anger, sadness, etc. Provide encouragement and support with discernment, that means without judgment, and help the person you are assisting understand the results and effects of taking responsibility for their own emotions and actions, and the results and effects of taking such responsibility on other people in their own lives. Help them understand that taking responsibility will also avoid any long-lasting negative effects from their actions. Number 3. Set boundaries so you don't become a STAR enabler. An enabler is a person who allows another person to continue with self-destructive or negative patterns of behavior. Being an enabler delays or denies a person you are trying to help from making new and different decisions and taking different actions to allow them to make positive, productive changes in their own life. To avoid being an enabler, it is important for you to set firm boundaries yourself. If you do not set firm boundaries yourself, the person you are trying to help will believe that their current state of behavior patterns and actions are acceptable to you and will always be tolerated by you. Make it clear your boundaries will be strictly enforced. When your boundaries are crossed, such behaviors and actions will not be tolerated, and there will be real and significant consequences for such behavior and related actions in your life and the life of that person. Using the modified STAR technique and setting proper boundaries allows you to assist others to make a positive impact in their lives without becoming an enabler. Until next time, I'm Dr. Stephen Lesovich, out there on the edge of everything. Today, staying away from all cans of wax.
You have been listening to Out There on the Edge of Everything, the show that examines, helps you understand, and effectively deal with the interesting edges of life. For more information on your host, Dr. Stephen Lesovich, please visit slesovich.com. For more information on prior and future shows, please visit coconutavenueradio.net.
This is the Coconut Avenue Radio and Podcast Network.